complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Illuminating Solutions. Today, we are joined by the incredible Allen Pollack. He is one of our fractional executives and a technology expert at Lighthouse Advisors, and he's going to share why we need to learn how to leverage technology, our systems, and/or our resources to create a sustainable and successful business. Allen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to jump right in. Allen, with your deep expertise in fintech, how do you see emerging technologies like AI and machine learning transforming the mortgage industry over the next few years? And what should leaders do now to prepare for that shift?
Well, it's a loaded question, to be honest with you, because right now everybody's chasing all of these news articles and press releases that say driven and built with AI. And there's a difference between using AI to make your technology better and building a foundation on AI. And our industry, while honestly, compared to a lot of other industries, we have really been first to market or pioneered a lot of automation, a lot of technology. You look at the auto industry, you look at commercial lending. These industries are far behind where we are. Actually, I bought a car for my daughter recently, and they finally got rid of the old dot matrix printers that they had to rip the sides off. They emailed me everything, and I was able to sign it online. I had to wet sign one last document when I finally went to the dealership. So, anyways, we have been pioneers. We have a unified data set that most of us follow. We have technology that we share throughout. So we are a really good industry. The problem, I think that, or the challenge that we're facing today is it's death by a thousand cuts. We have a lot of technology that do a lot of things. And a lot of technology providers have started down the road of offering many things. So now as a lender, your question is, what technology am I paying for? What technology does what? And what have I missed? What are all the release notes that have come out? Where can I get the leverage and the benefit of this technology? You may have fine-tuned your staff, your process. You may be trying to fine-tune your strategy. And does AI fit in that? Where can you use artificial intelligence? And so what I find right now is lenders have those questions. The easiest thing to do to start is to look at your tech stack and start talking to the vendors to figure out what is it you have today? What's new with those vendors? So I've seen a couple different scenarios, Laura. One of them seems to be the most popular, which is that lenders have different staff that have gone out and manage these technology solutions. They go to the conferences, they look at what their CEO or some executive told them to look at, they bring these great ideas back to a meeting to the board, and somebody says, do it, let's get that. You implement it, but now there's overlap. Is it integrated well? Is it providing the reporting? What is it automating? And sometimes it automates departments or things that you weren't even ready to automate. You can't automate how cash is moved between bank accounts if you don't even know where the cash is coming from. So you've got to think about what is it the AI is going to do. CRM systems right now are leveraging AI the hardest. They're helping you create more creative and better messages. They're helping you stay within compliance. They're automating the funnel, making sure that you have a lot of good touch points. They're helping to maintain your brand. AI is doing really, really good there. And we're seeing systems come out that have been built or features directly on top of AI. That's a really good thing. Like I said, our industry is really trying to adopt artificial intelligence and innovation. But I think where innovation comes is, do you want to customize? Do you want to personalize? Or do you want to build from scratch? And that's a big question a lot of lenders are facing. And what are their vendors doing? So when you can figure out the answer to that and you can really dive deep on what your strategy is going to be, You can get the right answers.
So, Alan, great stuff and so many valuable points with that. So, I'd love to know, like, what do you do when you're speaking with a client? You know, you're sitting down with that lender. What are some of the first steps that you do when you come in to analyze their tech stack and how you can really optimize and create efficiencies and get the greatest value out of what they have, or make a recommendation for some type of change?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, it's funny. You sit down with a lender and they all want to do the same thing, but they want to do it differently. What's that saying? It's the same but different. The most important thing is to understand what you're doing today. You know, a lot of times people will just want to focus on the problem, but is that really the problem? What caused the problem? It's not always just a simple, like a marker on the whiteboard. So I like to sit down and understand what was the strategy that you were trying to achieve? Did you achieve it? And where are you? Technology always plays such a big part in that. What is your brand and how have you been executing? Some lenders have been doing really good, by the way. They have social awareness. They understand what their brand means. They do survey their customers, the ones that leave them, the ones that stay. And then some lenders actually survey their internal staff, which is huge. You know, they are your customer as well, and they are direct response. They're directly responsible for illuminating your brand directly to your customers. So the question really is what are we trying to do today? And let's figure out what's worked and what's not worked. From there, Laura, we can move into, what caused this to happen? Where do you have the most pain, right? All the questions that you want to get to, we can get to, but we have to understand where you're starting.
I love that. Such a great answer. All right. So, Alan, listen, we know in the mortgage industry, one of the things that we do struggle with is the adoption of these new technologies. From your experience, what are some of the biggest barriers to tech adoption, and how can companies overcome this to stay competitive?
I mean, it seems like it's so easy, right? Having a champion is the number one response to that. A lot of times and I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been on the lender side, I've been on the tech side. A lot of times we put technology out there and we assume that everybody can figure it out, right? When you got your first iPhone or the new feature came out, it took you 2 weeks to get used to it, right? A lot of frustration. You want to get, why do I have to have this new phone? So it's the same thing. We have to understand how people and technology interact. Actually, Laura, today there are college courses that are based on the human element and how humans and technology communicate together that is meant to help what's called user-driven design. And that's not just a fancy website or where a button's placed. It's actually how people's brain perceives technology and does it work the way they want. There's actually a technology out there, and I'll come right back to the direct question.
Yeah.
There's a technology out there, and for some reason I'm forgetting the name, but anyways, it tracks kind of like Google Analytics. It tracks where people click on the screen.
I know about that technology.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
It has something called rage clicks. So if somebody starts clicking like crazy because they thought it was a button, and it's right, exactly. It tracks if their mouse starts going crazy left and right, right? Something like that is worth its time or worth its weight in gold because you're able to understand what people are truly thinking. So anyways, we a lot of times, going back to your question, as a technology provider, even as a lender bringing technology internally, building our own or bringing something new in, we forget that there needs to be a champion. And we have to break it off into small pieces, right? You have to be able to train. You have to be able, sometimes a company will create a training guide. So I worked with a very large QSO many years ago, and they spent probably the first 3 months building out training guides, teaching internal folks to be the actual trainers. So internally, they were the sponsors and the executives of leading that technology change. And then they answered all the questions instead of the vendor, right? Let's not push all those questions to the vendor because they're not going to give the response to your staff that you want. And they're going to get frustrated when you have 20 people calling them and trying to get emails. So let's actually save that. Let's create the middleman, which is your team of champions. It could be one person or many. And let's start in small pieces. Once we have small wins, we can slowly adopt and implement the rest. You can't just be a race car driver on day one, right? First, you don't even get in the car when you're first learning how to drive a race car, or skydiving, right? You fall on a fake mat in an air hangar. So we have to do the same thing on the mortgage side. Some people do it very well, by the way. Can't say that our industry is in major pain from that. but a lot of times it's not done well. And I'll just say one more thing on the tech vendor side. As a vendor, a lot of times we rush to push technology out, right? There's so much compliance and server infrastructure and these giant questionnaires that we have to answer that we forget that we have to create good documentation and good training. There's amazing technology out there today. One of them is called Loom. You can create, like, I can be a small little video circle in the bottom left of the site, and I can point, and you can create 20, 30 little tiny videos, and you can post them as a knowledge base. There's all different ways that you can help your customers. AI has major advancements that you can use and leverage in your website. You can create a chat bot to go to 10 years of release notes if you wanted. Those are all different ways. Creating a more focused and more transparent way for your customers to learn how to use your technology helps. And actually, Laura, I'll say one last thing. A lot of technology providers fall short on actually providing support. They'll say, hey, there's going to be $1,000 or $2,500 implementation fee. We're going to help you get up and running, and then you're going to have to, contact our email or put a ticket in. That's never enough time. On the vendor side, it's never been enough time. And what happens is that the tech vendor is light on the staff in order to support the true implementation. So if you're a lender and you feel like you're complex, you feel like you've got a lot of departments or you're going to implement at a slower pace, take the money portion out of it. You want to talk to your vendor about hand-holding you through multiple parts of the implementation so that you don't have to hire an outside consultant to implement the technology. You should be hiring outside consultants to make you better, to update your workflow, to improve upon what you already have, not to get to the point where you can improve. And I think that's a challenge, Laura, that our industry is facing.
Yeah, very, very, very good points. And Allen, you spoke a little bit about customer experience, right? Customer experience internally and externally, right? Because both of those things are extremely important, right? So because you are a strong advocate for enhancing that customer experience in mortgage lending, how do you see technology playing a role in improving that customer interactions and streamlining the mortgage process in today's digital landscape?
It's so funny. It's as simple as communication, knowledge, and education. There was an industry survey I talked about on my podcast yesterday. I think it was done by Maxwell, and they surveyed 1,000 borrowers, and they found that of those 1,000, a high percentage of them are waiting for rates to come down to 5.5%, that exact number. And 40% of the 1,000 that are waiting haven't even talked to a lender yet. So what this means is that
I think it was actually 5% because I saw that. I think they were waiting for 5% to come around.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I feel, rates are historically low. I remember my first house, I was paying 8 and 9%. I know that I was a loan officer, by the way, too. And I think some of us out here that were originators and then got into the technology and the business side of this know the pain of looking through guidelines on our own without technology. We understand how to read a rate sheet. We understand when the market changed 8 times of the day. We understand when a divorce decree was missing and your loan didn't close at the table and you can't schedule another closing for another week. All of these things, right? It all comes down to communication and education. There are some great platforms. There's some great tools. The CRM platforms in our industry continue to get better and better. A lot of people use Salesforce and HubSpot and all these great systems. They're great, but there are individuals in our industry that have created CRM tools or platforms that are based on 20 years of industry history. They're based on fine-tuning the customer engagement. We need to do a better job of training borrowers. And that goes with training our loan officers. I mean, imagine being able to tell a borrower that we can get you down to 5.5% with a seller concession. Or there's another way to structure that deal. Did you know PMI insurance is not such a bad thing? And I'm only giving you 2 short examples, but we need to be communicating with our borrowers. Laura, and you know this pain. How many times does a loan get closed and then the loan officer doesn't actually talk to the borrower for 5-7 years, right? The opportunity, now banks and credit unions, financial institutions, they spend on average a 7-year investment into all of their customers, and they're trying to maintain that. Well, non-bank lenders are struggling to maintain that relationship. Education should continue. Our industry And the market, right? It goes up and down every couple of years. We should be working with our customers, with the borrowers about that. There are CRM solutions, and I'll end on this note because I'm sure you have a question, where it will track the home value of that home and it will constantly email the borrower. There's things as simple as an anniversary reminder. You've been in the house 2 years, congrats. You don't have to follow up. It's a happy birthday reminder. It's things to remind that you're human. You're not just someone who took an order and helped them get the keys to their house. You have empathy towards that borrower and that relationship. And I think we have to do more of that. Now, we also have to train, this last note, we also have to train loan officers, right? We have to train them on how to structure deals. The days are gone where you had to do this manually, as I started your question off with. There's technology that does everything for you. I don't know how many originators today truly have, had to sit in a realtor's office and explain how to structure deals face to face to help them better offer borrowers that come to a open house, whether they're the loan officer or not, right? I remember going real estate office to real estate office and handing out flyers on a Friday that they can use on Saturday. So we have to think, it's a human interaction, human relationship, and we need to get back to that. We need to do a better job.
I 100% agree with you. And I believe communication solves so much. It's wonderful, all the technology that's coming. But to your point, this is a relational business. And I believe that the people with the best relationships and communication are always going to be successful, regardless of the cycles, regardless of the interest rates, regardless of what is happening, they will always be successful. And I find it interesting, Alan, I speak to so many people about, if I went right now, and you mentioned about buying a car, I can tell you for the last cars that I've purchased in the last 20 years, I have sat across the desk where someone said, Laura, we are going to schedule your next session for service right now. If we're purchasing this car in October, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, we're scheduling the very first one. It's on us. We just want to have you come in. We're going to take a look at your fluids, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Now, the point of that has nothing to do with the car. It has to do with the fact of them bonding with me to get me to know their service manager, to get me to be completely wowed by the experience of walking into the service area and then, having everything beautiful when I arrive. And then that way, when I do have a service thing, I'm not going to the local Jiffy Lube. I'm bringing it to the luxury car dealer instead. Right? Because I wouldn't trust my car at the Jiffy Lube. I'm going to the luxury car dealer, right? It's the same thing in our industry. I wouldn't even think about calling a stranger when it comes to something that has to do with my financial situation. I'm going to call my trusted advisor and partner that knows everything about me, everything about my family, everything about my hopes and dreams and my desires of what I want for the next future. And we have to get away from the transaction and realize that this is a partnership that we're in. And Alan, I share a story that my financial advisor, I met this woman at an event, a financial event in 2019. When woman came up to me, shook hands, lovely young lady, right? It took her 4 years before she actually won my entire account. And this woman for 4 years reached out to me every quarter just to say, how are you? Is there anything you need? Can I find out what's happening with your family? What's happening with your career? 4 years she spent. Now she has everything, and I would never think of making a change, ever.
Isn't that great?
She knows everything with my family, down to knowing my children, everything, because it's that important. And us as mortgage professionals, it's that important. Absolutely. And until every one of us realizes or feels that we are that important, we're just going to be transactional, because that's not important.
Yeah, you nailed it. By the way, you said something that is very funny. In the mortgage industry, loan officers should start to tell their prior clients that we need to check your fluids.
Yeah. Ooh,
That's great.
think about it, right?
But
Have a little fun with it, right? Like stop. We're not stuffy bankers from
well,
1940, you know?
it, you can watch online, and I absolutely love social media. I love TikTok. I watch all of these business motivation videos. And some of them say, what's the difference between not doing something or doing something? The difference is you actually will get something done. Even if you fail, you still will get something done. You can sit and watch videos and you can listen to motivation and you can feel like you're going to get motivated, or you can actually put the video down and go get motivated and go do something. You may not do it right. If you do the wrong exercise at the gym, eventually you'll figure out how to do the right one. Somebody may come and help you. You may watch another video that tells you how to do it. So we in the industry, we have conferences. We have ways to be part of things. We have so much that you can do. I think it's an amazing industry, and you hit the nail on the head. We've got to get more engaged, and we have to do that.
Yeah, we owe it. That's our responsibility as mortgage professionals. That's the way I look at it, right? Well, Allen, this has been a phenomenal conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and great teachings. And for everyone out there, Allen told you how he comes in, how he looks at things, how he approaches this. Reach out to us, discovery@lighthouseadvisors.com, because Allen is that absolute expert that can come in and really light the way and the vision for your success. Allen, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.